handing the microphone to the International President of Jewish Ministries in the person of Rabbi Jonathan Benny.
Thank you, Bishop. It's an honor to be with you. Shalom. I greet you in the name of the Almighty, the Holy One of Israel, and His Son Yeshua HaMashiach. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I want to begin by reading a prophecy of the day that will come in the future from Isaiah chapter 11. And then I'll share the results. Then a shoot will come forth out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch will bear fruit out of his roots. The Spirit of the Almighty will rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and insight, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Almighty One. His delight will be in the fear of the Almighty. He will not judge by what he sees or decide by what his ears hear, but with righteousness he will judge the poor and decide with fairness for the poor of the land. He will strike the land with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he will slay the wicked. Also righteousness will be the belt around his loins, and faithfulness the belt around his waist. The wolf will dwell with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the kid, the calf, and the young lion. And the yearling together, and a child will lead them. The cow and the bear will graze. Their young ones lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like an ox. A nursing child will play by a cobra's hole, and a weaned child will put his hand into a viper's den. They will not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Almighty as the waters cover the sea. Hallelujah! And that day will come. It will also come about in that day that the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the nations. The nations will seek him, and his resting place will be glorious. It will also come about in that day that my Lord will again redeem a second time with his hand the remnant of his people who remain from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathos, from Cush, Elam, Shinar, Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. He will lift up a banner for the nations and assemble the dispersed of Israel and gather the scattered of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Hallelujah. That day is coming to pass. Hallelujah. With our own eyes, we are beholding the nations gathering to the Holy One of Israel, being restored back to their land. The people of Israel are now coming back to the Almighty One, spiritually. Hallelujah. A great restoration that He promised. I'm going to read the results of the DNA testing that was done in February, and then make a few comments. I'm not going to give any individual results, but a letter from the president of the DNA lab that did the testing, DNA Family Tree Laboratories in Houston, Texas, the largest DNA company testing Jewish results, and the company that has the largest sampling of known DNA from Jewish communities. So I'm going to read that, I'm going to make some comments, and then Bishop will be under your direction whether questions should be answered at that time. Okay? So this letter is dated the 28th of July, 2017. I have examined the results of 124 male samples that you have provided from the Igbo tribe of Nigeria per your request. I have compared the results to the worldwide data repository of Jewish samples that we have amassed over the past 17 years. To be clear, our database also includes the data sets of both Dr. Michael Hammer, PhD from the University of Arizona's Anthropology Department, along with the sample collection of Dr. Doron Bahar, MD, PhD from Israel. These two scholars are the authors of all of the relevant scientific papers on the Jews published over the past 20 years. After a careful comparison, I was not able to find any connection to the samples that you have sent me to analyze. To be clearer, Jewish populations from around the world are found in 9 discrete subsets of humanity. For short, these are in the following scientific groups: E1b, G, J1, J2, Q, R1a, R1b, Q, and T. Each of these subsets has a rather unique and specific geographical location that they are from. The entire sample set that you have provided are from a different branch, commonly known as E1a, an African branch of the tree, like the E1b mentioned above. However, the Jewish E1b group is from North Africa, Arab populations, while the E1a samples are from the Igbo tribe, are from E1a, which is restricted to the sub-Saharan African populations, whereas the Igbo tribe samples were entirely from the branch of African men who reside south of the Sahara. Bennett Greenspan, President, FamilyTreeDNA.com. Now let me make a few comments to explain this. DNA, the science of DNA, can only compare like DNA to known sampling of Jewish communities that have a background of Jewish descendancy. In other words, DNA can only, the science of DNA can only establish guilt by association, as Bennett Greenspan says. In other words, comparing to the database of known Jewish communities, does the sampling of the 124 Igbo men that we collected saliva from match those known DNA samples in the current database? And the answer is no, that it doesn't compare with the known Jewish communities that have been recorded in the current database. That's all that the DNA results tell us. Okay? Does that mean that the Igbo claims are not accurate? We're not saying that. We're saying they simply don't match with the current database that the DNA laboratory has collected over these last 17 years. So this is a group result. We have individual results that we can send you with detailed information. We're also going to provide to Bishop the maps that show the DNA, the migration of your DNA in Africa. So we have copies of those. We have copies of the letter to provide for you. And all we can report to you are the findings of the DNA lab based on the known database. Bishop, that's our report. If you want us to answer questions individually or corporately, we'll be happy to do that. We're under your direction, sir.
Shalom.
Shalom. And the Almighty bless you.
Shout hallelujah. Hallelujah.